So today we'll see again, next class is about a ROM, BIOS settings, and CMOS battery. After that one, we have a time, then I will try to finish a few things like what is motherboard and SMPS also. Then tomorrow means next Monday we will able to see about a hard disk and SSD and other storage devices, some boot processing kind of stuff. What is a ROM? Read only memory. Is the recording started? Yes. Okay. What is a ROM? Read only memory. ROM is a non-volatile memory. Guys, if you take only named ROM, you take only ROM, okay? Okay. So it is a permanent chip, means the manufacturer of this ROM chip will design manufacture this chip. So inside, when he is manufacturing, he put some instructions inside while he is manufacturing, and he is give it to this. What instructions are required? The motherboard company and system manufacturing company has to tell. So, so the ROM manufacturer will manufacture ROM chip. So then we will put it on our motherboard and it stick onto the motherboard. Okay, it is ROM. Once it is instructions are done, you cannot able to remove it. You can't able to remove it, or you cannot able to reprogramming it also. Then PROM chips are came. These PROM chips are basically an empty chips. Means this is a chip, it's an empty chip. So what we have to do, so then we have to, the manufacturer of this motherboard or a system manufacturer like a Apple or maybe Intel, Microsoft or people, what they will do, they take this ROM chip, they put a instructions inside. Once instructions are given, that's it. You can't erase it. You can't reprogram it. Okay, that is programmable read-only memory. What is EPROM? EPROM is we can erase it. EEPROM models, like you can program it, we can erase it, but again you cannot program it again. Then EPROM circuit. Actually, we are using these EPROMs in our systems. What is EPROMs? It is rewritable prompts. It means you can put instructions, you can erase it, and we can put instructions again. But there is a certain count is there, like 100 counts, 1,000 count, 2,000 counts. Okay, how many times you can able to put a data inside. That is electrically erasable, programmable, read-only memories. These EPROM chips are rewritable. You can programming it, you can erase it, and reprogramming it again. These ROM chips we are using. These ROM chips, which is we are also calling as a BIOS chip, because in this ROM chip there is a program called a BIOS, which is nothing but a firmware or a frameware. You can say frameware or firmware. We can able to say. What is the frameware? It is a piece of code. It is a simple, a small program which is inside your BIOS chip. When you power on your system, when you given a power on your system, when you press the power button, system is starts, right? System is asked to start. It shows some operating system loading. It shows some logos, right? It verifies the system devices. All these functionalities will happen with this firmware only. That is the firmware we are using in our system is generally BIOS. Okay. What is the BIOS? Basic input output system. Our ROM chips contains a program called BIOS, which is nothing but a firmware. What is a BIOS? Is nothing but a firmware. And we call this one as a BIOS chip. We can also call this one as a BIOS chip. Because it contains a firmware. That name of the firmware is. Okay. So what is a firmware? Here it is BIOS. What is a BIOS? Basic input output system. When you start your PC, that time there is a operation called a post operation. Power on self test. System test itself to make sure that the components, the primary components of a system is working or not. That is called a post. The post is also performed based on this firmware only, means BIOS only. When you turn on your PC, inside your PC you have a CPU, you have a RAM, you have a hard disk, you have a CD-ROM. So your BIOS will recognize these devices and save that information into the BIOS chip. Okay. So what is the BIOS will do when you power on your system? The BIOS, the firmware, what it will do? You try to recognize the devices. And what is the device? What is the CPU? What is the model of the CPU? What is the number of cores in the CPU? What is this RAM? What is the size of RAM? What is the model of this RAM? What is this hard disk? And which point it is connected? What is the model of the hard disk? Size of the hard disk? Okay, it will recognize the devices and put it into your BIOS chip. And BIOS also help you to locate your operating system. There is a boot priorities and the BIOS. Okay, in the boot BIOS settings, there is a boot priorities. Based on the boot priorities, you can able to get an operating system based on the priority order. Okay, it helps your operating system to access hardware devices because your operating system has to know what are the hardware devices on your system. So then obviously when you turn on your system, OS bootable files will be loaded and it helps our other operating system to understand what is the devices in the system. Okay, so that is what it is, BIOS. There is a small gap and that is a large gap. Okay. Now maybe it is fit. What is a BIOS? Basic input output system. It is a firmware. Firmware is nothing but a piece of software which is inside your BIOS chip, means your ROM chip. Okay. When you power on your system, this firmware will tells how to boot your system. Okay. It performs the post operations. It recognizes your hardware devices. It tells how to locate operating system and loading on operating system. Okay, it helps your operating system to access the hardware devices. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So here it is. What I said, BIOS is a firmware, and there is a new name is came into market that is called UEFI. Okay, UEFI. Traditional name is BIOS. The modern name is UEFI. It is a newer version of BIOS. Instead of BIOS, we are getting now in our laptops and desktop UEFI, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. It's a newer version of BIOS. Okay. So your BIOS is also called as legacy. Okay. It's a legacy setup. Means it's a kind of we are using BIOS instead of UEFI because I have a old type of hard disk and all. It will support only older type of operating system, support only BIOS. What is in BIOS? There is a limited hard disk partitions. Okay, which support MBR type of disk partitioning, which is support limited number of hard disk partition, like a three primary partitions you can create it, or you can create three primary, one extended, means logical partitions you can create it. Multiple logical partitions you can create it. Okay, it support up to 2 terabytes. But UEFI having certain features compared to BIOS. Okay, in a UEFI we have a additional features like a boot, secure boot, and another one is supporting GPT partition table. Supports GPT partition table, GUID partition table. So more hard disk partitions we can create with this GPT partition style. Okay, means almost like 128 primary partitions you can able to create it. Don't worry, this is we will discuss something later. But what is the difference between BIOS and UEFI? UEFI is a newer version of BIOS with a certain features additionally like a secure boot and supporting to the GPT kind of stuff. And these BIOS manufacturers are different BIOS manufacturers are there. If you see AMI BIOS, Phoenix BIOS, Edward BIOS, like that. Okay, different BIOS manufacturers are there. Okay, so here I have written what is the firmware. So guys, what is a BIOS? Is a chip. BIOS is a program. Actually, BIOS is a firmware which inside your ROM chip. That's why we are calling our ROM chip as BIOS chip or CMOS chip kind of stuff. Okay. And what is a BIOS? Basic input output system. The newer version of BIOS is UEFI, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Your BIOS helps to boot your system. It performs post operations, it recognizes hardware devices, locates and load a operating system with the help of boot priority kind of stuff. Those points are enough, not more than enough. Okay. Okay. So what is the BIOS contains? BIOS contains your hardware information. Your BIOS contains hardware information. We can check or change some hardware settings to your BIOS settings. But the BIOS contains hardware information. We can check or change some settings through BIOS settings. What is a BIOS setting, guys? BIOS. So there we want to see if you want to see the your hardware configuration, or you want to change some hardware configuration thing, or you want to change boot priorities. You want to set a date and time, or you want to assign a BIOS password. That means for hardware purpose, you want to give a password. So we can go to the BIOS settings. First thing is how to go to the BIOS setting. So there is a BIOS key. When you power on your system, on the system screen, it will shows BIOS key. On the system, it may shows BIOS key. Okay. In generally, delete button. Delete button. BIOS can be delete button. BIOS keys can be a delete button. Okay. Okay. If you power on your system on the screen, it may shows the setup. F2 is equal to setup. It means F2 is your BIOS key. In a olden system, and some of the system still works with the delete button on the keyboard, there is a delete button. Okay, we are also called as a del button. Delete button or a del button. DL or a delete button. Okay. So, and some companies use depends upon BIOS manufacturers. So different keys are there to go to BIOS. F2, F10, F12, F11, F9 depends upon the manufacturer. Sometimes you have to use your function key and BIOS key, okay, because of depends upon your keyboard. Because laptops having function keys, multimedia keyboards. For example, your F2 is your BIOS key, then you have to press this F1 plus F2, then maybe you can go. Okay. So what is there in the BIOS settings? You can able to see and change date and time. You can set BIOS password. This BIOS password is different from your operating system password. You power on your system, you power on the system, and after some time you got a login screen, right? Username and password. That is a different. That is your operating system password. BIOS passwords are if anybody who is going to change, unauthorized person is maybe is trying to change your BIOS settings, so you can able to prevent it by using password. So if they know the password, so they can able to change the settings. They can able to see the settings. Like that, you can able to configure it. Date and time, you can able to set passwords. You can able to enable or disable some hardware features, for example, virtualization technology features. Okay. You can change boot priorities and we can save and exit kind of stuff. What is there? You can check the system configuration. There is a two parts, guys. How to go to BIOS settings. If you go to the BIOS settings, what we can able to do it. We can see and change date and time settings. We can set BIOS password. We can change some hardware features. We can change boot priorities also. And also you can able to check system configuration like a CPU, hard disk, RAM kind of stuff. See it is. This is a one BIOS setting screen. Can you see system, time and date, time and date. See, here is the time and this is the date. You can change the date as per your location, your current date. You can change the date. If you change the date, that date will be applicable. Okay, this is your system time and system date. Okay, and if you see the CPU, the CPU model is i7-4500U model, 1.8 GHz processor, and 4 MB cache memory. 4 MB cache memory. Fixed hard disk, it is WDC, Western Digital hard disk, and 1 terabyte of hard disk it is. SATA CD-ROM, this is a SATA DVD, okay? And total memory it is showing 8 GB, and RAM speed is 1600 megahertz. Guys, understand? So, date and time, CPU, CPU details, hard disk details, and RAM details, CD-ROM details also I am getting here by going to the BIOS settings. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It is not given time. If I do multiple times, already it may be damaged. Hmm, don't worry, it will take time. So no one is giving any sound. Guys, understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very.
Yes, sir.
This is hardware configuration. Like a see Intel virtualization technology enable. I can disable it, or if it is already disabled, I can enable it. If it is a little older system, this feature is there. 10 years back only, this feature is there. Problem is, in that system, it is not enabled. See, if you want to enable it, you have to go to BIOS and you have to enable this feature. Or you can enable or disable certain features, like you can enable, disable your USB ports also possible. Okay, you can enable, disable USB ports also possible. Okay, so that is what I said. We can enable or disable hardware features. And what is the next one is setting a BIOS password. If you click on enter and you given a password, user and supervisory password, so if anybody want to change these settings or if anybody want to see the settings inside your BIOS, so they need a password to do it. Okay, if you want to change, if user want to change it, you need a supervisor password. If you want to only see that is user password is enough. This is the boot priority. What is the boot priority? It is this is the given boot priority. When I power on my system, it's the first one is CD-ROM, CD DVD. Removable device. Next one is hard disk. Next one is network. As per this list. As per this list. So I power on my system. I press the power button. So what happened? So first system will check whether all primary components are there or not. Like that is called a post operation. Power on self operation. The next one is to ask your BIOS. So I want to load operating system. So we want to locate and load operating system. The BIOS will tell this is my boot priority. This is my boot priority. So when you press the power button, so what will happen? First system will try to check is voice is there in CD-ROM or DVD. Yes. Then it will load. If it is not there, then it will go for a checking. This removable device is having means your pen drive having OS, then load it. If not there, then check for another device. Hard disk is having an operating system, then load it. That's it. If it is there, it will load. If it is not there, then again you will check the another device. It is also not there, then it will throw an error. Okay, guys, what is this boot priority? Whenever you power on your system, after the post, system try to load operating system from the devices based on this priority order. You can change the priority order. For example, I change my priority order to hard disk, CD-ROM. okay, pen drive and network. So this is my current priority order. I power on my system. So it will try to load voice from hard disk. Voice is there, load it. That's it. It won't search in another place. If it is not there, then it will go for next device. Okay. So it will go for the priority order. This is called a boot priority. So that boot priority also given by your BIOS, and you can change the order. So here it is using plus or minus in your keyboard. You can able to up and down the device. Okay. So this is about your BIOS settings, guys. So what is a BIOS setting? So it's a BIOS is a ROM chip which contains a firmware. Okay, of course. Again, once again, the ROM chip has a firmware called a BIOS. BIOS is nothing but a firmware. It's a piece of software. It helps boot your system by performing post operations, recognizing hardware devices, and location of an operating system, and locating and loading your operating system. This firmware, again, it is developed as UEFI, Unified Firmware Interface. This UEFI having certain features like a secure boot and GPT partition styling are there. These BIOS chips are manufactured by different manufacturers. Depends upon the different manufacturers, the information and the way of inside thing is look differently. Okay. These BIOS settings contains the BIOS contains your hardware information, so we can check the hardware configuration information. We can change some of hardware settings through BIOS settings. To go to the BIOS settings, power on your system and press the BIOS key. To know the BIOS key, you have to go to the manufacturer website of your system or BIOS manufacturers. You have to go to their details and you will find the BIOS key. In generally, the BIOS keys are delete buttons, F2, F10, F12, like that. Even sometimes it is shows on the screen also. Have tried something, right? That is why it is showing black and white color. Okay. So that is the thing. So once you go to the BIOS settings, you can able to see date and time. You can set the password. You can change the hardware features. You can change the boot priorities also. Okay. So you can see your system configuration, what is about CPU, RAM, hard disk, information, and the date and time also. You can change date and time. You can change hardware features like enabling virtualization technologies, disabling USB ports, kind of stuff. Okay, few things you can able to do it. Depends upon the system, depends upon the BIOS. We can set a password to your BIOS so then unauthorized person cannot able to access. We can change the boot priorities. So then based on the boot priority, system will load operating system from the device. It will give based on that priority order. Okay. Guys, these are all we can able to few things are fixed. Few things we can able to change. Okay. Do you understand up to here?
Yes, sir.
Good. Have done mistake. Have done mistake. I have to go back once. Okay. So here it is. Next point is BIOS battery, guys. BIOS battery, CMOS battery, kind of stuff. Guys, CMOS is a kind of technology, MOSFET technology it is. So clearly, listen, what is this CMOS? CMOS is actually MOSFET. What is MOSFET? Metal oxide semiconductor field effective transistor. It means it is a transistor, a semiconductor device. It contains PMOS and NMOS. Two MOSes are there. By combining this PMOS and NMOS, this CMOS is came. It is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It is a transistor. Okay. But what is this battery? It is a lithium battery. CMOS battery is nothing but a lithium battery, 3 volts lithium battery. Okay. It does not store anything. It will only store charge. It does not store any instructions or data. CMOS battery is a lithium battery, and the lithium battery will give a power supply to your CMOS chip. It means your BIOS chip. Guys, listen again, once again, carefully. You have a BIOS chip. The BIOS chip, okay? What is this BIOS chip? The BIOS chip contains your hardware information, your date and time. What we can able to change? We can change date and time, right? We can set passwords. We can change hardware settings, or we can enable, disable some hardware features. We can change boot priorities. Okay. This is we can able to change. Like you changed it. Today morning you purchased new fresh desktop and you change this BIOS settings. Okay. But when you power off the system, this data is temporary data. These settings are temporary. When you shut down your PC, these temporary data will be gone. The time and date and your settings will go to the factory default. Maybe if you've seen one example, I will tell. Featured phones, keyboard phones are there, na? Featured phones. Keyboard phones. Okay. So maybe if you have any small experience with these keyboard phones, okay, so it is helpful to understand. It means so whenever you're using, you have some incoming call data, outgoing call data, message data is there. When you remove the battery and reinsert the battery, all this incoming data, outgoing calls data will be gone. The messages, some of the messages will be deleted. If it is not saved into your SIM, it will be deleted. Okay. So what happened? If you remove the battery or if battery is not available, what happened? Set BIOS settings go to factory default. Okay. If you turn off your system, settings will be not saved. So what we am doing is I put a lithium battery. This is a battery, 3 volts battery, non-rechargeable. It won't rechargeable. Okay. But it will give a maximum life. In the olden days, it will give you 10 years. Now it is 3 to 5 years only, max. Okay. Because system, lot of configuration updates are there. So what is this battery will do? It will give power supply to your BIOS. Even you shut down your PC, the date and time will runs. If you observe, if you shut down your PC, the date and time is again when you power on your system, automatically date and time is updated. Okay. Even you shut down your PC, the date and time will be run. And these settings will be like that only. So that is the main use of your BIOS battery. What is this BIOS battery or CMOS battery is doing? It provide a power supply to your BIOS chip. It provide a power supply to your BIOS chip. It is nothing but a lithium 3 volts battery. If you turn off your system, when system turn off, data will be lost. To keep the data, we use CMOS battery. Because of this CMOS battery, whatever the data you changed from the factory default, that data will be saved here. What is that? Date and time, passwords, the settings or configurations, and boot priorities. Boot priority kind of stuff. Okay. Guys, understand what is a CMOS battery? It's a lithium 3 volts battery. Use power supply to your BIOS chip. Okay. No response, anything.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Guys, what if this battery is removed and reinserted, which is giving power supply to your BIOS chip? But I removed it once and reinserted it back. What happened? This data will be
The
gone.
date will be changed.
Yes, date will be going to factory default date. The settings, the passwords, whatever you given, that again everything will be set back to the factory default. Very good. Just in case, if this battery charge is completed, no charge inside, what will happen? Same thing. Same thing will happen. It is no charge. Every day you start your PC, on the PC it shows one error. What is that error? CMOS checksum error. CMOS date and time is not set. Go to the BIOS settings and change the settings and you can continue. Okay. So one time you remove and reinsert battery. So that time only you are getting this problem. That date will everything will go to factory default. You have to change it once. Good, no problem. So next day onwards you may not getting that. But every day you are getting every time you start your PC. When you freshly power on your PC, not restart. When you freshly power on, shut down and start your PC, and you are getting this CMOS checksum error, it means most possible CMOS battery is low power or no power. The CMOS battery, the lithium battery, has low power or no power. Okay, so what we have to do? Go to market and purchase CMOS battery. And of course, it is also having some numbers. So you can take a photo of it, or maybe you can go to market. I want a CMOS battery. Then they will give you a battery. Earlier days, it is 10 rupees. Now they are charging 50 rupees for a battery. Okay. So because this Duracell and all, the cost is so Duracell, Panasonic. Earlier, normal roadside part only. 10 rupees we are getting. Now it is 50 rupees. Okay. The cost of the battery is 50 rupees. It is showing 79. Whatever the see 17 rupees. Lithium coin cell battery. Okay. There is no difference between this. So this is for usually they use in laptops. The battery is completely sealed like this. Okay. Usually used in laptops, notebooks, laptops kind of stuff. This is usually used in a desktop type. Okay. Like this. This is the CMOS battery. There is a lever here. This is small lever is there. If you pull back, battery will pop up and you can take the battery. And just same side only, you have to insert the battery. Just the finger nail like this. If you pull back, battery will pop up and insert the battery and just press on the battery. Little press, small press, automatically battery will be inserted. So what it is, if you are getting error again and again, the CMOS check some bad error you are getting every day. You are changing it, but still you are getting again and again. Maybe there is a battery problem, so you have to change the battery. Okay. So those things are about your BIOS. Actually, there is two small things are there. One is about your motherboard. Another one is about your SMPS. I won't take more time on it. Okay. So I will explain and we will keep it. I want to give a break. Okay. Really, I want to give a break, but we'll complete this one. And tomorrow, freshly, we can start the storage part. Okay. Freshly, we can start a storage part. Not tomorrow, Monday. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? So anyway, do not have a not feeling well today, but
Okay, sir.
so what is this motherboard? Motherboard is a kind of PCB. All your devices, components on the motherboard or to the motherboard, it is connected. On the motherboard or to the motherboard, it is connected either directly or indirectly. So it is contains processor slot, CPU slots, sorry, CPU slot or processor slot, memory slots. Have you seen this white bars? PCS slots. If you want to connect any network cards, additional audio cards, kind of stuff. The green one is for a graphic cards. Okay, these are for a hard disk purpose. So this is ID type of hard disk kind of stuff. Okay, power connectors. Okay, on motherboard, we can connect your CPU, RAM, and your adapters, your graphic cards. To the motherboard, internally, we can connect hard disk, SSD, CD-ROMs kind of stuff. And outside of your cabinet, we can connect to this back panel, your keyboard, mouse, printers, LAN cables, audio jacks, your USB connectors, you can able to do it. Okay, these are the RAM slots. This is power connector, ATX power connector it is. This is how RAM is inserted. CPU insertion is also there, so you can try that one. Okay, you search in Google or better ones you try, guys, how to assemble a desktop and how to disassemble laptop. How to assemble desktop means how different components, how they will inserting one by one. How to disassemble laptop because you don't assemble laptop. Okay, because you want to see what is there inside a laptop. So go to the how to disassemble laptops kind of stuff. Guys, these are the back panel connections. You can connect. This is PS by 2 kind of connectivity. Okay. So what is this connector? This is for connecting keyboard and mouse. You may see there is small symbol representation, which one is for keyboard, which one is for mouse. And nowadays, the very recent desktop I have seen, there are a combination of this two things. Means it's they will giving only one PS by 2. Either you can connect keyboard or mouse. Okay, that one type also there. But before that one, that is they will people are removed this PS by 2 because people like to use USB small. USB keyboard, USB mouses are came, so people stop using it. Okay, what is USB? Universal Serial Bus. So you can connect like anything now. Pen drives, webcams, mouse, keyboard, modems like a external hard disk, everything you can able to connect it. VGA card, usually for your monitors, projectors purpose, we can use VGA. And serial ports are used to connect modems in olden days. COM ports, mostly COM ports are removed from your desktops and laptops. This is a LAN port, RJ45 for connecting your system to the LAN. And this is HDMI port. This is also for to connect your monitor, projectors kind of stuff. But difference between VGA and HDMI is VGA only video, no audio transmission. For example, you have a LCD or LED TVs or projectors can able to process audio. So then you must use HDMI. Okay. So this is a new thing on the motherboards. In a new motherboards having this LED indication that you are actually inserted your graphic card, CPU, RAM, boot, everything inserted properly. It shows like this. Okay, if DRAM is this LED is blinking means RAM related issues. Okay, like that we can understand. I kept here, but don't worry about it. Okay, guys, a motherboard is we can connect devices either directly to on the motherboard, to the motherboard, or from outside to the motherboard. Anything, all the devices we are connecting to the motherboard only. Okay, up to here. Okay, the next one is SMPS, switch mode power supply. What is SMPS? Switch mode power supply. Guys, our main power supply is 220 volts. Main power supply is 220 volts. AC power supply 50 Hz frequency. Okay, but our system is required DC power supply. In your mobile phone also we need a DC. Your laptop is required a DC. Desktops are required a DC. All electronic components require DC power supply. So how to convert AC to DC? We are using SMPS. That too, not one single DC voltage. We require different types of DC voltages. Plus 12 volts, minus 12 volts, plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, plus 3.3 volts, like different voltages we required. So then this SMPS is provided. So we are using ATX power supply. It is having 24 pin connector like this. 24 pin connector. Sometimes everything has a one single joint. Sometimes it is separate joint like that. But still it is 24 pin connector. And additional pins are there for CPU purpose like this. If you see this one, this is 4 plus 4, 8 pin on motherboard CPU power supply. So it is directly go to the motherboard for entire motherboard power supply purpose, motherboard and motherboard component power supply purpose. This is specifically for CPU purpose. Okay. So depends upon your motherboard, you have to choose your SMPS. That is one point. And if you see this is SATA means if you have a hard disk or CD-RAM, SATA interface one, this is the power supply. This is for floppy disk. This is if you have a graphic cards kind of stuff. And one more is there. So that is for a normal olden days hard disk. That connector purpose it is. Okay. I think for one batch, I added one point, but I didn't add. Choose SMPS based on system power consumes. అది అనుకుంటున్నా. Okay, sorry. Based on the system power consumes. Okay, choose SMPS based on a system power consumption. or power requirement. For example, the total power requirement by the system is, for example, 300 watts or 300 VA, like this it will shows. So choose more than 300 watts SMPS. Little, not heavy. 300 is there, I will use 1 kV. It won't work like that. Okay, better use little more than like a 400 watts. So like a 350 watts. So better it is 400 watts, 450 watts, max like that. It's a 300, better use little higher. Okay, like this you can. Don't use more than that one. So why? Because sometimes if you are connecting any USB cable or external hard disk you are connected, or maybe you inserted a graphic card, additional graphic card you inserted, or maybe some new RAM is inserted, and again it is required some more. Okay, if you don't provide, don't power supply to the system, system may restarts again and again. This is a one of the reason. Okay, again and again. Okay, guys, understand what is the SMPS power supply? So when you choose it, take a proper connection. Yeah, tell me.
Understood, sir.
Very good. Okay, so I open this one or not? Okay, that's it. I will show you if possible that is power of it. I want to show some BIOS setting kind of stuff, but I choose some different option. But tomorrow we'll start explain. First, we will see about a storage devices, guys. What is the storage devices? What are the different storage devices? What is the hard disk? Okay, what is the hard disk interfaces? What are the SSD and types of SSDs? Boot processing, issues at boot processing. We'll discuss on Monday.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
you have not marked my attendance.
That's what I am trying to show. Okay.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
why I open this one. Guys, anybody missing people? B. Jahnavi, Sanjay Kumar, Cheshwanti, Lakshman, Vujita, and V3. I think there are not at all joined. So okay, no problem. Okay, that's it for today, guys. We'll see you on Monday. Uh, I can continue, but still my throat is giving some pain. But study, guys. What are we discussed till now? Please study. Okay, that is important. I already shared the document. You have the document. So go to the document, go to the videos, and lot of other supporting videos also there. Where is your
Okay,
batch
sir.
here? Okay. Yeah, you can leave, and also I'm stop this recording.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.